Mr. Kua, do our people, do our Papua New Guineans, the well-versed ones, the knowledgeable ones, do they understand that process? Sometimes we are defeated by the lack of understanding and knowledge in those fields by well-experienced, well-established companies that come here to extract our resources.
I would say very few people
so that's our
presently
problem,
understand that. It's not necessarily a problem. It's a problem if the few who understand it keep quiet.
Okay.
Only a few understanding it is a generational thing. It's a part of the growth process. It's the part of the evolutionary process of a nation. Few will gain that enlightenment, and the rest will follow in due course. Yeah. But it becomes a matter of crime if the few who understand it do nothing about it. So the few of us who understand it now, it's our duty. It's our duty to our nation to highlight the issue and scream for reform. And that's what we're doing in National Party. We're saying, okay, those few of us who understand, we're not going to sit by and accept a framework of laws, which I would describe as a legislated crime.
Yes.
Theft of our resources.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
so before you move on, let me say this. So the law has handcuffed. Currently, I'm Minister for Petroleum. I tried on the legislative reform side. I get no support. But that's not necessarily the only space where you can try to reform and change that. The other area where you can fight hard is you accept the law as it is, but when it comes to negotiating the deal for a gas agreement or a petroleum development agreement or a mining agreement, that's where you fight. You fight at the contract negotiating table, contract. So you fight where legislation does not help you, you secure your gains through tough contractual negotiations, you can. And again, your appetite to fight depends from person to person. And we have demonstrated in my term as Minister for Petroleum, I have demonstrated that if you have the appetite to fight for it, you can make a substantial gain for your nation. Even though the law is weighted heavily against you and the nation, you can still achieve in the contractual space. We've done that in the Piniang gas agreement. In both the Papua LNG and in the Piniang LNG. So let me just briefly talk about both. Yeah. How did we gain in Papua LNG? When the Marape Basil government came into office, the Papua gas agreement had already been signed under the O'Neill government. When we come in, I pushed for a total renegotiation of the whole thing, and I asked for 5 additional benefits to be included. I said, I appreciate that the contract has already been negotiated and signed, but I'm reopening it. And the cabinet approved it. The Prime Minister Marape gave us their support. I led a delegation into Singapore. We met with Total Energies. We renegotiated that concluded agreement. And to cut a long story short, we have been able to secure, out of our 5 demands, we were able to secure Total's agreement, and that includes the other project partners, concession on 4 additional benefits. Okay. One of them is the right to own the pipeline. Once the initial loan is paid down, the pipeline will be sold at book value to the Gulf provincial government and the landowners. They will own the pipeline. And any gas piped through that pipeline after that point in time will be tolled and the rent given back to the people of Gulf. Okay. That's the first benefit, which was not there in the concluded agreement. The second is, we argued that gas produced in Papua LNG should be shipped by gas tankers owned by the Gulf people. Because we said production of the gas is one thing. Transportation is simply an ancillary business. Yeah. In order to maximize the return to the people of Papua New Guinea and the state, this benefit, the transportation business should be given to the Gulf provincial government and the state of Papua New Guinea. That was agreed to. So we've now acquired a right to make money out of transport by buying gas tankers and then taking part in the transportation of that gas to international markets and making our money there. Number 3 is maximize national content, and that's something we will monitor as the theme project moves into construction phase. And the other one is maximized forex at the central bank, because most of the foreign currency with US dollars parked overseas, not much brought onshore. That has to be corrected in order to maintain a supply of foreign currency at the central bank for available for use by commercial banks and people.
Yes. With these ideas then, could they have been negotiated in the initial stages under the previous government? And if they weren't, does that go back to what we're saying about people in the know are not speaking loud enough about that? Because
they could have.
You coming up with these ideas that, hang on, I mean, you're coming up with it. Why didn't we come up with it at that time? Is it lack of knowledge? It's just something that I find amazing sometimes.
Yeah, I don't want to get into the finger-pointing business, but
it
may be an oversight.
And it's very, very important that the people need to know that if people are making mistakes and we are vesting them, we're electing them as leaders and become ministers, and there are people in there doing that, the right information, the right things have to be said, and the right things have to be told to the people at the end.
Yeah, yeah. We lost the opportunity at that time, but the second opportunity came and we did it successfully. So at the end of the day, the people have gained something extra. And those 4 benefits that we've secured could easily lead up to a couple of billion kina in benefits. It's not been quantified, but it can lead to a few extra billion kina worth of benefits in the aggregate to Papua New Guinea.
Okay.
That is a gain. And secondly, in the Piniang, on the contractual space, Piniang gas agreement.
Are we going through another one of those that are not negotiated properly?
No, that one, my team negotiated totally afresh.
All right. It's airtight then.
So Papua was a concluded deal. We reopened it and secured 4 additional benefits. Now I'm coming to the project where we were totally in control of. It was a new project. We negotiated. We fought hard, as I said, and it took us 23 long months. We were not, we were not interested in giving away a deal that was not favorable to the state. We fought hard, and that battle took 23 months. And in between, we suspended negotiation, and both parties walked away for 6 months to say that if the deal is not going to benefit Papua New Guinea's interest, we're not going to support it. So we walked away. We said, we're happy to see that resources remain in the ground until we get a good offer. So to illustrate, contrast it to help you understand, in PNG LNG, we got total benefits package of about 45%. In Papua LNG, we got about 51%. Now in the Piniang gas agreement, which Marape government under my supervision achieved, is 65%, in a range of 65 to 68%. And that is a huge jump from 51%. From 45 to 51 to 65, it's a huge jump. We fought for 80. We fought for 80%. We came down, and that's part of the reason why we suspended negotiations for 6 months. But then we felt that if we held out, we'd lose the opportunity to create revenue for the nation. So we compromised, and we fixed our total state take at 65% of free cash flow.
Still a better deal.
Still a very, very high deal. And the challenge now is in the next deal, they got to go past 70. They got to do that. We got to climb all the way up.
Okay. So it's complete now under U.S. Petroleum Ministry, complete now, or are there some parts not addressed yet, and the next government will complete?
We've been successful in contracts, but we've not been successful in legislative reform.
Okay.
That's a matter that's still outstanding. We really must do this.
Okay.
Because without legislative support, you go to contract negotiation. If you have a weak team, they will be slaughtered at the negotiating table. Nation will lose. So, but if you change the law, then everybody will apply the same law, so they don't have to fight for it at the negotiating table. So we still have to do the legislative reform.
Okay. Well, Mr. Kua, I hope that, let me say this, hope that you come back as the member for Sina Yongumul for the 3rd term in Parliament, and then hope you get into government, and hope you get into the Petroleum Ministry, and hope that all these things that we've talked about will be achieved at the end of the day. You've got about 20 seconds to say something to Papua New Guineans.
Well, let me firstly say to my electorate, they actually understand the issues.
Okay.
We've been talking about it in my electorate for so long. They understand these issues. They will do the right thing by Papua New Guinea for sure, I know. So I can assure you that the people of Sinisene Yongomuk, they are used to introducing new agendas, introducing new reforms with me as their member, and we will continue. We haven't finished yet. It's all work in progress. So, for the rest of our candidates in the country, my message to the voters out there is, you've got 3 votes out there. You know what the National Party is capable of doing. We will fight corruption. We will introduce a lot of reforms into areas like resource laws and into the operation of state-owned enterprises and the law enforcement systems and all of these things. We understand it fully. We got to do it, but we need your support in terms of making sure that one of the 3 votes that you have in your hands, you give it to a National Party candidate. And that's the only way you can enable and empower us to do the right thing for our beautiful country. So that's essentially my message to my own electorate and to our people, our beautiful people in Papua New Guinea.
Okay. And I wish you all the best in this election.
Thank you very much,
Thank you,
John.
Mr. Kua. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. That has been the Honourable Kerenga Kua, the member for Sinisene Yongomul and Minister for Petroleum, on Your Vote Matters. It is an EMTV election awareness campaign to inform you, the voter, of the political parties and their candidates, their policies, platforms, and that you make an informed decision during polling. There will be more party leaders that we will talk to on this program. Keep an eye out for those, and thank you for watching this. I'm John Eggins. Bye for now.